Hope means hoping when things are hopeless. It is only when everything is hopeless that hope begins to be a strength. That was written by G.K. Chesterton. The situation is going to get better. This is a good challenge for all of us. Now is the time to pray for things to get better. We've worried about population control, but we've forgotten that the earth has its own population control, things like pandemics. Bad times have a big influence on good times. Last century, there was the 1919 flu epidemic. In a little town in North Dakota, 2 families of 8 children lost both parents. My great-grandfather made sure that these families were okay. The oldest in both families was an older teen, and my great-grandfather and grandmother mentored these 2 older teens in raising the children. They invited them to dinner often, and they got to know everyone in my great-grandfather's family. In fact, the eldest 2 daughters in my mother's family each married a young man from each of the families my grandfather was mentoring. In 1936, my mother graduated from high school. She had been accepted at college, but that summer her father died in an automobile accident. My mother's 3 older sisters pledged my mother's tuition in college. It'd be a while before I came along. World War II was right after college for my mother. And both my parents served. After the war, my mother met my father, and I was born in 1955. My parents were always the older parents. I started my career as an accountant in hard times. There were many sad stories of economic woe. We didn't know if interest rates would ever fall, if anyone could ever afford a house again. But a decade later, the tech revolution was causing the economy to boom. There were all sorts of Microsoft millionaires around here. I was District 2 Treasurer, my only district office that I held for 2 years. I was even a good speaker back then. I got my ATM Gold Award. But there was a deadline year, and I missed out on my DTM because I didn't have the proper credentials and to complete my leadership track. One thing good from this pandemic is that it postpones the deadline for switching our programs again by 1 year. We have a 1-year extension, so many of the people rushing to get their various education and leadership tracks finished will not miss the deadline like I did. We may have a dead economy, but there's always good times ahead. There's a lot of talk about socialism. This is one of the 3 forms of Marxism, and Marx is all about equality. But America is all about freedom. We have a big choice this fall. We can't predict the future, but there are good times ahead. Time to get back in touch with God, in touch with family. Opportunity, that's what freedom is all about. And God has a plan for us, and God's plan sometimes seems a little strange and cruel at times, but it's all part of our plan for us. And sacrifice is an important part of any opportunity. The earth maintains its balance. Plagues aren't unusual. Sure, many in society can make decisions for all of us, but you can't take away plagues, earthquakes, volcanoes, explosions, you name it. We've got it in nature. We have to trust in God and accept God's plan for us. The Roaring Twenties were followed by World War One, and the 1919 flu epidemic. So good times can come back fast. Miss Toastmaster.